Are you ready for deeper meaning and bigger dreams in your life? Do you believe it can happen? Amy and LoriAnn are here to clear the confusion and help you live life full out, guided by your inner wisdom to create, amplify, and align you with your highest self. Are you ready to attract a divinely blessed life? This is Living in the Faith Frequency.
Welcome back. LoriAnn and Amy here, and we are excited about this week's Living in the Faith Frequency episode because today Amy and I have been talking about capacity and how much space you can hold for another person. And Amy had an experience in this one-on-one, personal experience that she got to be a part of. And I wanted her to share that with you today. Amy, will you talk a little bit about what that experience was like for you?
Yeah, it was an intimate setting, so it was a group, but there was just a handful of people there. And what happened was someone was telling their story, and what I have learned in life, it's important to have compassion where people are at, because everybody's in different seasons and phases and experiences. And what I have realized is I would always try to relate because I wanted to understand where people were at. But sometimes when you relate, now you're back into your story and you're making it about you versus holding space for that person. So in coaching, that is something that, it's like a muscle you continue to build, and holding space for someone to have their experience, and you don't join them in it, but you have compassion and you hold the space of them finding their way through, because sometimes people just need to be heard and seen and witnessed, and you don't have to fix or solve anything. You just hold space for them. And that's what I did in this experience. Someone was telling their story, and then the other person asked me, what was that like for me? And I said, it didn't affect me. I was holding space. And so when we can be compassionate with someone's experience, but holding space for the transformation that they're going to have from that experience, and you see them as resilient and strong and learning from it and becoming more, people want to be seen in their greatest potential. And that's what holding, for me, that's my description of holding space for people, is you see them in their greatest potential and you draw that out of them, but you let them have it. You let them have that. But you hold space because you're not going in your mind trying to relate and remember your story, because now you're not really present with them because you're attaching your stuff to theirs. So that's how
So with you speaking it right now, and we're holding space for our listeners and the people that are hearing this, because that's where you and I stand in doing this Living in the Faith Frequency podcast, is we are holding space for whoever is listening to this, that you have this expansion, you have this capacity in your life by listening to what it is that we have experienced, and then we are inviting you to have that in your life. Kind of like, sometimes I've heard if you have sympathy for somebody, you might even take on their stuff, and that's really not what you want. You want to have empathy, where empathy is, like you said, holding the space and holding the capacity for them to experience. But then sympathy, sometimes you have somebody close to you and they've got problems with their shoulder, and you start having problems with your shoulder. Like you're having so much sympathy, you get sympathy pains inside your body. But empathy is, I see you, I hear you, I'm just trying to get that understanding. Can you go just a little bit deeper on how our listeners really can understand this? Because sometimes we as, coaches, or that we have clients, we have people we work with, but then to have our listeners really understand, how can they do this?
Yes, the empathy, sympathy, like compassion for somebody, for their experience. Everybody has experiences, everybody has stories, there's challenges. I'm going to use myself as an example. When I went through these, huge changes in my life, I was so thankful for my friendships and you, LoriAnn, and my colleagues who would hold space for me to have my experience, to feel, to express, but they remembered me as the strong, resilient, and empowered woman that I am, even though I temporarily wasn't feeling it, you know? And I'm so thankful that I have people in my life that remember me and draw that out in me. And that's what we do as coaches, is we help people see the best in themselves, because we don't want every experience in our life is truly happening for us, not to us. And we want to ask, what's the gift in this experience? Who am I becoming because of this? We were talking earlier about identities. Like we are constantly going through experiences and becoming more. And so we have new identities, and we have stronger versions of ourselves. The more life we live, the more experience, the more wisdom, the more gifts, the more all the things are there, if we're willing to receive them, or we're willing to look at it through that lens. And sometimes when people come together and stories are told, everybody's just telling their own stories, and everybody's just joining everybody in the same frequency of, it could be, like a victim mentality. And we cannot be in our power when we feel victimized from a person or a situation in life. And I'm thankful when people hold space for me to step into my power. As I was telling you, like I'm feeling like I am coming back and remembering who I really am, and there's more wind in my sail, and I'm excited about life, and I've gone through all kinds of phases, but I think it's important to know that you have different capacities in life. So
Yeah,
my
you
capacity.
even, sorry to interrupt you,
No.
but you just had said something earlier about holding some space with a friend. You were talking to a friend, and because you have gone through this, and now he's going through this, and you got to experience this moment with him, that you were able to hold some space, and you guys were able to laugh together, and you could see in him what had already taken place. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so when someone is stressed out and they're having a moment in life, and that's what was going on, I when I got on our call, I could see they were stressed, and I realized what was really needed was just to hold space for them to have their experience, to
Yeah.
feel, to vent, to let it out. But it did not affect my energy whatsoever, because it didn't it didn't bother me that he was upset. It didn't bother me that he was stressed, because I saw him in his resiliency and his strength, and I'm like, oh, he's just having a moment. So what we say to ourselves about our people is, a really great thing is, oh, they're just having a moment. Oh, they're just being triggered. It's just a circumstance. It's not who they are. So identity versus circumstance. Really being able to differentiate that's how you can hold space for the people that you love.
I just heard an interview of a man who, 97 years old, he was interviewed, and asked, because his marriage had lasted over 60 years. And they said, "What is the secret to your marriage lasting this long?" And it wasn't the normal answers. Like, it wasn't, if you pray together, you stay together. If you date each other every week, then that's the important thing. Which they weren't saying any of those things were wrong, but what he said was so touching and moving to me and my husband. He said, "You have to love your woman as she goes through her different identities, and she will pass through different identities about every 2 to 3 years." I I thought that was so profound, because isn't that the truth? Like, they just say,
Yeah.
well, a woman changes her mind all the time, and all, like, it's something negative. And he just said straight up, "I have loved her through all her different identities and did not try and put her back in one of her old identities."
That's beautiful. And that's why there's 60 years running, right?
Yeah.
Because women do change, and there's lots of emotions, and there is like a lot of transformations. It kind of does seem like women go through even more than men. Maybe we're a little more complex, I don't know. But there is a lot of,
We shed so many skins.
oh yes, yes. Yes, for sure. But I think that's beautiful, and I think it's so accurate, because when a man can truly love a woman through all the identities and all the emotions, and doesn't try to fix her, doesn't try to change her, accepts her, like, that is what brings a woman into this emotionally safe space, which that really is holding space for her, right? Like, that's what we're
Right,
talking about. And
right.
it's to love them, just as they are, not needing them to change, not taking it personal. Like, that kind of love is what makes relationships last.
And I even think that we could take that even one step further with our children, with our friendships, with,
Yes.
our coworkers, with, to really understand that we're evolving at different levels, whether you're a man or a woman, like, we really are evolving. I just think it was so profound what he said, that it helped me understand, even in all my relationships, I can just understand that we're going through different phases. And as the world speeds up, we can listen to people, like we started talking about, in this capacity, in this, opening expansion of our capacity, of our love, of our compassion.
Yeah. And our capacities change. I was talking with a friend last night, or this week, and they were saying they had gone through a traumatic experience, and when the wind is taken out of your sail, it's hard to be like a strong light. You just
Yeah.
Sometimes you need other people's light to light your light, right? And they said they found that the spark was there when they were around other people and they could get excited, but then as soon as they left and they're by themselves, the spark went out. And
Mm-hmm.
I could really relate to that. After John's transition, I loved being around people that didn't feel sorry for me, but reminded me who I was, and still, made me laugh and lived life. And like, I loved being around lit up people, because I felt like I have always been, not always, but I have worked on being a light in the world. And so my friends would light me up when I would be around them, but then when I would be alone, it was a little harder to get my light going. I had a little bit more heaviness, not wind in my sail. But then
Yeah.
there comes a period where, when you and this was my epiphany this last week. It's like I made a decision. I was looking in the rear view mirror, more than I wanted to. You know, the
Oh,
rear view mirror, when you're driving a vehicle, the rear view mirror is for a glance just to make sure, you know, where you're at and to remember what you've come through and who you are. But when you're going through life, you want to look out the big windshield of life. You don't want to be looking behind you. You want to be looking where you are now and where you're headed. And I remember that analogy, and I was just thinking, Amy, you're in the rear view mirror a little bit more, and that's why this heaviness, this light goes out. I want to be where I'm at, and I want to be present, and I want to move forward, and all my dreams are still there, and I have many blessings, and I wanted my light to stay lit when I wasn't around people. I wanted to be my own light. I've just been making that decision to really catch my thoughts faster and remember who I am and the things that light me up, the things that I'm excited about, and continue to do things for myself to take care of my health and my mindset and my body and my friendships and my, all of the stuff's like, I'm like, all this stuff excites me. And so I think the capacity changes. So it's about knowing yourself. And
yes.
when my capacity was low, I was so thankful that my friends, when I wasn't the light in the room, they they were the light that helped me light mine. And so, I have friends that we do fun things together, but boy, my friends showed up in my hard times and I wasn't the light. But they held that space for me to remember who I am. And I think as we can do that more for one another, we find our way faster, we find our new identity, but we also build healthier relationships that go through all the changes, just like the story. I love that story about the man loving his wife through all of her changes and identities. Like he didn't try to fix or change. He just knew she was blossoming and blooming and becoming different and loved her through them all. And I just think when we have more of that, I think that is what living in the faith frequency is, because you're believing in love and you're believing in things before you see them, it's holding on and remembering those things. So
And counting those blessings, just
yes,
really having that gratitude of those blessings that are showing up and being right there all the time and recognizing them. Yeah.
yes, it is so important to recognize the blessings, recognize the good in the people around you, and receive that, because some of that is learning to receive from others.
And
And
haven't you learned to receive?
oh, I have received so much. So,
Well, we all have. I'm not saying that it's just you,
well, no,
but
I have really been in receiving it. Like I had to, because my
yeah.
capacity had shrunk, so I had to receive. But now I feel like my capacity is expanding, and I'm super excited about working with more people and helping them through transitions and identities and leadership and all of those things. Like my capacity has expanded now. And you just
Your
have to know your.
capacity has expanded so much that you even make sourdough bread now.
Oh my gosh. If anybody knows me, I am not a cook and I never have wanted to do sourdough bread. But the story is I went to go visit LoriAnn and she's making sourdough bread and she's enjoying it so much and there's so much to it that I'm inspired by her love for the sourdough bread. And then I tasted it and I'm like, that is amazing, especially when you put some honey on it. And so she sends me home with a starter kit and I'm thinking, I'm not going to bake bread. But sure enough, I had it and I thought, okay, I'm going to give it a shot. And there's a lot of steps to it. It's a lot of work. And I kept asking her questions, but she kept, giving me support and encouragement. And then when I baked my first loaf of bread and I ate it with honey, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so good. And it's so much better for you than regular bread. So here I am. 3 weeks out, and I'm continuing to make bread every weekend, and I'm even giving loaves out, which cracks me up because I've never thought I would be a bread maker, yet alone
Look
giving my
at
bread out.
look at this new woman who's
I had so much
evolved and her
capacity.
capacity.
Oh,
Oh,
goodness.
I love it. The
All right.
capacity has expanded into Amy Betty Crocker.
Yes, yes. Right now. We'll see how long it lasts.
Hey, I'm impressed that it has been 3 weekends. So I mean, who cares if it keeps going? Like
Right. No.
you can say you have done it and you have shared. And I think the people in your life are probably not going to let you go back to not doing it because they love it. They love it so much.
Yes. And well, once you have a starter kit, you like feel bad of like wasting it. Well, I can't waste it. I need to just keep fixing bread.
Isn't that life though? You have
Yes.
been given a starter kit.
Yes.
And it has been so impactful to the people around you. And even me, it just to watch you go through this, it is so touching to my heart that, this starter kit, it's maybe we're kind of joking about it and it's about bread and now how you've been able to expand and share it with your family and the ones that you love so much. And now there's this expansion with this love with them. And I know there's a scripture that goes with that about, the bread of life and being able to share that with people and how that brings people together. And right now, how important is that? That you're able to share that expansion and that gift of just a loaf of bread. How powerful is that?
Yeah. Yeah. And I, as you're listening, if you just think about how you can keep expanding in your life, new things, trying new things, new experiences, and when you have an overflow to be able to give, like that helps you stay in that abundant mindset. So I think capacity wise is about more abundant mindset. And so we encourage you to try some new things and really try holding space for the people around you, to see them in the highest light, to not fix them, just to listen and not attach your stories to theirs, but to really hold space, because in you doing that, you create capacity for more in your life and in theirs. So thank you so much for joining, and click subscribe. We're going to continue to bring things that lift you up, lighten your load, and help you live in a more abundant mindset, which is living in the faith frequency. So thank you for
Here's your gift of your starter kit today. Thank
love
you.
it. Thank
Thanks.
you.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Living in the Faith Frequency. Keep shining, keep aligning, and keep trusting your inner guidance as you live your life full out. We are here to guide you as you step confidently into your faith journey. Be sure to subscribe and stay connected. Check out the show notes and let us know what topics would you like to hear next. On behalf of Amy and LoriAnn, we want you to keep talking, keep dreaming, and keep feeling blessed.